Okay, I'm going to try to do a speedy version of how to draw a two-point perspective city. So you're choosing where to place your vanishing points, and when doing so, they just need to be an equal distance on the right and left side. And what it's going to say is, let's say you put your vanishing point at 2, that means you're going to have a small little sky right here and a whole lot of ground. So I'm going to put it somewhere close to the middle. If I put it at 4 inches here, I'm going to put it 4 inches from the top here as well. And those are your vanishing points, the two most important points in this whole drawing. So here is my ground, here is my sky, and between the 2 points would be my horizon line. So for a city or house, anything you're wanting to start to draw, you're going to start with your center line. And it does not have to be in the center of the paper. It could go anywhere on this paper. Alright? And then you're going to draw the bottom of your building. You need to draw extremely lightly, because the majority of this line you will have to erase. I'm drawing dark just so you can definitely see my lines. And all these are going to this vanishing point. This is the bottom of my building. Okay? So since I'm drawing a city, I'm going to put this line really, really close together. So this wouldn't work for a house because this is going to make a really tall, skinny looking building, like a skyscraper. So there would be my first building. If I wanted to do a building the equal height of that, then I could keep that line. Show you how that would work. Alright. So for this building right here, there's my first building. You have the center of your building, and then you have the right side, which is to the right, and then you have the left side, which is to the left. Over here on the left side of my page, I have the left vanishing point. Over here, I have the right. So that's important to know, and you can mark that if you want to, since this is a practice. Alright, so for this building, I only have my center line drew, so I need to draw the left bottom, coming over here to the left vanishing point, the left top, coming over here to the left vanishing point. Alright, and you've already got the right bottom drew and the right top drew. So now you need the sides coming down. When you're using a triangle, you have to line it up to the bottom. And what that's doing is, since this is a 90-degree angle and your paper is a 90-degree angle, then every single line you draw, as long as you're using this triangle correctly, is going to be parallel to each other. See how the two are parallel? And it's going to help you get those lines straight without having to guess where to put them. Alright, so now we're going to have to do some erasing in between the buildings. I would erase all of this line. That's why I said draw lightly. You're only making your life hard if you draw dark. Alright. So there's my first two really tall buildings. Alright, so let's say the next building I wanted to draw on the same street, but maybe it's a little bit shorter. Decide how tall you want the building to go. You're going to draw the left top, and the left side, and then the right top going over here to the right vanishing point. And we need the right bottom. Okay, and that looks like little alleyways in between the streets right there. So I've had students before who made it look kind of like a barbed wire fence or something. So if you want to do that. But even these little cross hatching lines will go over here to this finishing point. So if you were wanting to make it look like a fence or something like that in between. Alright, what we're going to do now is draw a sidewalk. So you kind of have to eyeball it depending on how tall your buildings are. I'm going to make a really skinny little sidewalk. And it's going to wrap around to the other side. You're kind of eyeballing right here, trying to make that an equal distance so that your sidewalk's the same. I have to erase a little bit. Alright, to make that appear 3D, use your triangle right there at the corner and drop it down a little bit, however thick. And then again to the left vanishing point. And see how those lines, you no longer see the sidewalk? That's why it's called a vanishing point. They're disappearing. The sidewalk disappeared right there. Alright, so most sidewalks have these little lines in them. For that, you're going to use your vanishing points. Every line is either going straight up or down to the vanishing point. And you're just going to move this until that looks like a square, because they're going to be getting smaller and smaller. So you're just trying to make these square shapes on the sidewalk, making sure you're lined up with your vanishing point. And you would do this all the way down the sidewalk. And then for the other side, use your other vanishing point and do the same thing. Trying to create those squares. And you're just ticking down the sidewalk, ticking along like it's a clock. You can keep going around, 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 making sure it's lined up with this vanishing point. Okay? So that would be your sidewalk. You would finish it out. Alright, for a road, just like you did the sidewalk, but it's most of the time quite a bit wider. So kind of eyeball how big you want the road. And do the same thing over here. Alright, now depending on how detailed you're wanting to be, you probably would want to do the lines inside the road. So for that, I would measure this distance right here. And for this, it's about 2 inches. So I'm going to put 4 little dots right here in the center, when the center is 1 inch. And then you're going to connect to create those lines. Mine's kind of hard to be this detailed because I'm trying to draw it really little, but you'll have bigger paper. And what that did was created my 4 lines inside my road, and you'll do the same thing on this side. When you colored that in, when we start to add value, the lines would stay lighter, and then you would color your road in. You should be able to start to see how that's coming together. I'm not going to color the whole thing in because it's the shortened version. Alright, so let's say we want to make another street going around these buildings. Let's say the street turns. I'm going to use my vanishing point. I'm going to come out like this, using still on my vanishing point there. Alright. Now we want to make it look like the street comes to a curve, so that's where the sidewalk will end. You don't want people walking in the sidewalk. Okay. So you would use your vanishing point still to continue that line out to give the sidewalk an ending point. Alright. And that would make, you would draw these lines going over to the vanishing point also. But that would make it look like the street came and went around a curve. So if you were wanting to put a stop sign right here, use your triangle correctly to make sure this is going straight up and down. Alright? And then use your ruler, or you might could get a stencil and trace to create your stop sign right there. Alright, but oftentimes if you don't use your triangle by lining it up, what will happen is when you go to do details like the stop sign, you naturally are going to want to draw it like this, and it's going to get crooked. But in this type of drawing, everything is going straight up and down, and for those you use your triangle, or it's going to one of these points using your triangle. Alright, so let's say you want to draw a little city, another little building over here. Start with your center line. Draw the top left to the left. the bottom left to the left vanishing point. Again, you don't want to just randomly connect those because that line would not be straight up and down. You want to use your triangle correctly and then connect them. And then now we need the right side of our building that's over here. And there's the right top. There's the right bottom. It doesn't matter if you use your triangle or your ruler for this, just as long as you're using a straight edge. Use your triangle correctly by lining it up to the bottom of the page and erase any extra. So there would be a building over there on that other side of the street. In every single building, you just start with your middle line, top line to the vanishing point. Alright, so now for windows and doors. Since this is the left side and this is the right, everything over here on the left side has to go to the left vanishing point. So if I wanted to draw a door on here, straight up and down line, and then the top, since it's on the left side, it's going to go over here to the left vanishing point. Alright. If I wanted to do a row of windows right here, so that's how tall I want the windows to be. They're going to the left side because they're on the left vanishing point. Draw straight lines down. However many windows, you would just need a little space in between them. And you can actually draw multiple windows all in one big sweep like that. You draw a bunch of windows, they're all lined up together. Now if you wanted that whole building to have a row of windows, you can continue that line down, all of these lines down. And then you would have 2 rows of windows right there on that. So you would keep on adding details like this to all your buildings, and eventually it would look like a really detailed place. So anything that, let's say you're going to freehand on here, your people, I've seen people who get everything looking really nice and they go to freehand a car or something in here, it has to be standing upright. And so if you're going to draw a person, try to keep them as straight up and down as possible. Now it's a little stick figure, but just for the sake of time. Keep their body standing straight up. What you don't want is to draw somebody over here like this, because it's going to look like they're leaning down the street or leaning into the road. Alright, so try to keep the people upright. Now if you have stuff flying in the sky, that don't matter as much. The only thing I'm missing in this drawing, other than a few more buildings, is the horizon line. So when you get done with this, you need a definite ground and sky. So a lot of times in a city you would keep going and you would have buildings and buildings, you wouldn't even see the ground. But if you do, you need to go in here and create something, whether it's mountain ranges or just a straight line that says, here's where my ground is, here's where my sky is. Go right there. Alright, and you would just keep on. So I'm going to keep drawing to the end of the video. Another sidewalk right there. Would have another little line. Following the same 3 steps over and over and over again. Anytime a building overlaps, whichever one's supposed to be in the front, you just end the building there.